Haven't done a Gottlieb EM in a while, so let's do this Target Alpha here. I don't really know what's wrong with it, and I just go through the whole thing. Start in the back box. First thing I do is I always go to the player unit. I always clean this plate with 600 grit and then lightly lubricate with Teflon gel lube. Make sure that it operates smoothly. Make sure the rivets line up well. If they don't, you can reposition this wheel. I also check back here all these switches to make sure that they are not over gapped. I find that a lot of times that they're over gapped because this is what directs the scoring actually to the proper set of score reels. Then we come over here to the relays. So I go through each one of these relays. These are like the 10, 100, 1,000 point. And then you've got a Z1 and the Z2 relay. These are kind of interesting. These are used in the game reset. What happens is that during a reset, this thing will spin around to a certain position. It'll engage this relay, and through the score motor, this thing will reset each one of its score reels. This one's designed to do player like 1 and 2. And you see how this switch that sits on top here, very, very important, must open. After all the reels have hit 0, then the player unit will advance another notch, and it will then go to Z2, which then clears player 3 and 4. And again, these two relays must work perfectly. Then we've got an AS relay right here, which is basically a mini stepper unit. This thing has to work properly, not so much because it just does the match, but because it switches Playfield features. So you see in here, right here, there's a set of switches that ride on top of the groove here. And you can see that that thing goes up and down with each revolution, so it alternates a Playfield feature. So if this thing doesn't work, your match will always be the same, and the Playfield features will not alternate. So you got to make sure all that stuff is good. Also, put the game on free play. I always do that too. So I took the Playfield out. It's just easier to work on the bottom board. It's just a couple connectors. I'm working on the latch relays on these things. There's 2 latch relays. So I'm working on the AX and BX relays in the bottom panel. I just want to make sure that these have a nice snap to it. Listen to the snap. Okay, and that there's good deflection and proper adjustment. And this is something that's kind of hard to do, but with a little time and a little experience, you can get good switch adjustments on these short throw AX-BX relays, these latch relays. It's hard to do, but after you do a few, you kind of get an idea for it. And then I'm just going to go through the rest of the relays on the bottom panel, and we'll go through all the switches on the score motor. Okay, this is the coin unit. This determines how many players the game's set up for. So you put in a coin, 1 player. Put in another coin, 2 players. Put in another coin, 3 players. Put in another coin, 4 players. Doesn't advance any farther than that, so it can't go up anymore. And this particular one isn't a reset, it's a step up, step down. Some are reset, so when we pull this in, sometimes they reset all the way back. This one isn't. This one goes back a step at a time. I don't know why Gottlieb did that, but on some of the multiplayers they have resets, and some of them they have step up, step downs. But anyways, you got to make sure that this works well, or it'll never play multiple players if this unit does not work right. So here's the test. Playfield's out. Gone through all the mechanisms on the bottom, just for fun. Play meter count, 155,000 plays. Wow. Anyways, let's just see what happens. Hit the reset. No Playfield. I like it. Okay, so you see we got
I'm sorry. We
ball
don't
1 play.
We have
1
water
player.
and Gatorade.
I'll try adding more players, see if this increments. 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Game over. That's what I want to see. Do a reset cycle again. Cycling all the lights. Okay, again, ball 1, player 1. Go around to the back. Flip our light around. And we'll manually hit the 10s, 100s, 1000s. Now I'm going to look for carryover. Do the 10s, make sure it carries over the 100s. 100s, make sure it carries over the 1000s. 1000s, make sure it carries over the 10,000s. Perfect. Then I can advance this once. It goes to player 2, and I can repeat. Okay. One more on the player unit and go to third player. Getting all my carryovers. Looks good. One more time. Fourth player. Oops. Getting my carryovers over here. Okay, so it all looks good. And then I come back around, make sure I got scores on all the players. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Hit reset. Make sure it does all the reels to 0. Look at that. Party on. Ball 1, player 1. We're good to go. We can put the playfield in now and see how it works there. But this is good preliminary test. Divide and conquer. Take the playfield out. Do all this stuff without the playfield. So now I got the playfield in, and I'm just kind of going through stuff, going through all the relays and the drop targets, make sure they all fall nice and easy and reset and do everything that they need to do. But one thing is there's a bonus unit under the playfield here, and what this does is at the end of the ball it scans, it goes through and scans all the 15 drop targets that are potentially knocked down, because you get like a 1,000-point bonus for each one of the drop targets. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm watching it, and I hit the reset, and the reset is right here. So it resets back to its home position, and then it comes up. If you watch the little feet there, it should go advance 1 position. It's not. It's advancing like 2. And why was that happening? It only happens on like the first run. See right there, it's like coming up 2 spots, and there it's barely in the center. The shoes are barely in the center of the stationary rivets, the moving shoes. So what's the deal here? Why is it doing that? And I think it's because on the advance coil here, somebody has this positioned incorrectly so that there's too much travel on the plunger. So I think I have to loosen these 2 screws here and move the coil to get it to do the correct amount of travel. And the reason why I say that is if I come down here and I look at the cogs right here, when I advance it, it's over advancing. Watch it. It's coming up. Like, look at that. It came up 2 steps. It should stop there, but it's not. It's going further. So we got too much travel on this plunger. Loosen these 2 screws and move the coil up, which decreases the amount of travel that this plunger is going to move. So I'll reset it. Now you watch it. It goes 1 position, which I still have to adjust this because the shoe isn't directly over the stationary rivets. But if you look over here at the actual gear, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see now that this lever's only coming up 1 position. It's not going up 2. So that's what I want. Test the drop targets again. Let's start a game. Kicks the ball to the shooter lane. We'll score some indiscretion of points up there. Hit my 5 drop targets. So I'm at 7,500 plus 5. I should end up at 12,500. And I do. Ready to rock and roll here.
Say that again. He had indoor range?
Yeah, he shot pistols in his basement.
Ooh.
I don't know how he did it, but he did it. You know, and he
knew he was there.
oh, I'm sure nobody knew, you know. Yeah, he was in a condo too.
Kid.
Oh yeah. You know, he did it quietly. And he liked it. That's what he liked to do. So this is working great. Oh man, it's hard to play with 1 hand.
My kids got me a right. I set up. I made